गुड मॉर्निंग फ्रेंड्स। अभी बजा है सुबह के 2:45, राइट, 2:45 एंड वी आर वेरी एक्साइटेड क्योंकि हम लोग निकलने वाले हैं एक लंबे ट्रिप पे। फुल 7 days का ट्रिप है एंड दिस टाइम आवर एम इज़ टू कवर द as much as possible, the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, Nagarhole, Bandipur, and of course, as much as possible, all the surrounding places of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So, why we are very excited? We have been to these places before. Obviously, we keep going, but this time, in particular, we are excited because, first of all, it's summer. Summer may good chances of wildlife sighting, and I'll show you our story of our travels. One more reason we are very excited is, we will be using this Sigma 150-600 mm lens, and our expectation is this lens would be great for wildlife photography. We will be fitting it to a Nikon DSLR, of course. And
गर्मा गर्म कॉफी पीते हैं और निकलते हैं।
ठीक है, just half an hour more, 3:30 3:30 तक निकल जाएंगे। The journey begins as the NH44 saw us driving our dark blue Maruti Suzuki XL6 cruising around 80 kilometers per hour heading towards the Bangalore city. Intercepting Bangalore city, thankfully no traffic during these early odd hours, we dash into the nice road and soon cruising happily on the new Mysore expressway. In no time, I mean not literally, we reach the city of Mysore. I remember earlier we used to take the Mysore ring road by taking a left from the Manipal Hospital junction, which takes us towards Ooty, Bandipur. But these days Google does not recommend that route, not sure why. Instead we went past that junction and headed into the historical city. We went past the Mysore Palace on our right. A view so grandeur never failed to astonish us every time we see the structure, especially at night when lights are on. It's a sight to behold. The city has the historical charm which we wish to explore someday in details and show it in our YouTube channel. With that being said, we hit the Mysore Ooty road, and as soon as we did, we saw a newly opened restaurant, Hotel Anaga Grand. We had been on this route several times, but this one caught our eye for the first time. Our initial plan was to have breakfast near Bandipur checkpost at this restaurant called Pugmark, which is part of the Jungle Lodge's property called Bandipur Safari Lodge. But when we thought we will anyway end up there in another couple of days, yeah, you heard it right, we will stay at none other than the Bandipur Safari Lodge during this trip. But now, where we are headed, can you guess? Since we are trying to cover Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve in this trip, we thought of picking the Queen of Nilgiris as our first destination. Yes, we thought of getting on the roof of the Nilgiris and feel the fresh aroma of the pure air of Nilgiri mountains. No better place than Ooty or Udagamandalam to fit into this definition, isn't it? Please let us know your favorite hill station in Nilgiris. Is it Ooty, or is it Kunnu, or is it Kotak? At Anaga Bhavan, we had to wait a bit for our masala dosa to be served, but the wait was worth it as this was a good masala dosa that was served to us. On the road on our way heading towards the Bandipur National Park's entry gate, passing by beautiful countryside landscapes laden with cultivation lands, trees, and often those beautiful lakes or smaller water bodies, on the banks of which often would wait some wading bird like an egret. Around 8:20 a.m. and there we enter the Bandipur National Park as rupees 20 gets deducted from our fast tag. The primary deciduous trees of Bandipur welcomed us with open arms, as does Mother Nature offers to anyone who has willingness to show some love. Chirping birds, herds of spotted deer and some peafowls frolicking around were the usual sounds and sights. It does not matter how many times we have passed through this forest. It is always the same excitement, with our eyes looking intensely into the bushes or on the trees, hoping to get a sight of some wildlife. This time without anything remarkable. We don't count sighting spotted deer in a national park that houses more than 75,000 or perhaps 1 lakh cheetal as remarkable. We cross the narrow bridge over the Moya river and enter into the Tamil territory of the same forest which many call Madumalai National Park. But what is more important is that this is exactly the spot that marks the start of the Nilgiri district of Tamil Nadu. Also, geographically speaking, this is the foothills of the Nilgiri mountain ranges from Mysore side. We will speak about these forests and its wildlife later as we focus on the upcoming destination, which is Ooty. Passing by a small township of Masina Godi, followed by another patch of forest, and the steep uphill drive starts as we roll into the first of the 36 hairpin bends. The climb was steep and we saw many car drivers struggling to keep up. We would not recommend people who do not have enough driving experience on hilly roads to attempt these hairpin bends, or at least without being accompanied by someone experienced. One after the other, hairpin bends went by before we eventually halted at a tea stall when 15 more hairpin bends were left to conquer. This tea stall had adjoining tea plantation as well, and whenever we come to Ooty, this particular one was always our usual stop. During our last visit, we remember spotting vernal hanging parrot on the flowering tree across the road from the tea stall. This time there were no flowers on that particular tree, hence no birds. But the lemon mint tea they served, was as refreshing as it was several years ago since we last visited. The car's clutch too needed some rest. After a good break of around 15 minutes, we started the ascent again. Entered Ooty, passing by the grassland field on one side and the RTO checkpost on the another side, and ahead the breathtaking mountains of the Nilgiris. Our stay was called Emerald Homes by Voye Homes, and as the name suggests, the property was located not very far from the Emerald Lake. The property is situated inside a gated community. There is ample parking space for at least 10 to 12 cars, which is more than the number of rooms offered on rent. One thing was for sure, no issue to find a parking spot here. The stone finished buildings looked elegant. The owner told us that there is this structure under construction which would be a future restaurant. The caretakers were sweet and always eager to help, especially Joshua, who is a local from the nearby Kunnur. As we enter, there is some kind of a courtyard surrounded by 2-storied structures on 3 sides and one boundary wall opening to a sprawling view on the 4th side. Each of these units had 3 rooms, each with attached bathroom, and the one on the ground floor was allotted to us. The common area had dining table, a kitchen area, and a very elegantly crafted and sourced sitting area. The room was cozy with all the usual amenities we need. TV, ceiling fan. वैसे OT में I don't think I will be needing one. A well-lit room with big attached bathroom. Oh, there was hot water in the bathroom as well. there was beautiful Ottoman style sitting area, sitting space overlooking the balcony. The balcony's entry, though, was not through, was through a common area, by the way, and not through our room, unfortunately. But this did not matter as we were occupying the only room on the ground floor, and the entire floor throughout our stay was us and only us. Okay, the main USP of this place were the surroundings. The scenery was simply breathtaking from wherever you stood at the property that offered an open view. Abundant greenery on gentle slopes that gradually became jagged as they protruded into the clouds above. What a combination! The slopes were green grass fields, but their continuity was often broken by dense forested patches. The forest mainly had some evergreen trees but dominated with Nilgiris often. Nilgiris are a particular kind of eucalyptus, and for this reason the air around is filled with the aroma of these trees. Nilgiri mountains from the far also gives a blue hue kind of visual lining the mountains, and hence the name blue, yani ki Nil, Giris, yani ki mountains. Next day after breakfast, we decided to visit Dorabeka, the highest peak of the Nilgiris and the second highest peak in South India after the Annamuri in Munnar. Most of the journey towards Dodabetta was smooth, but the last 1 kilometer was extremely painful. There was bumper to bumper traffic on steep hairpin bends. By the time our car found itself a parking spot, the clutch was burning and smoking. You can imagine how driving in these kind of traffic conditions on steep slopes can take a toll on your clutch, right? We think the traffic was not very well managed, or managed very effectively. If there was so much of rush traffic on the top of the hill and there was so much of chaos on top of the hill, why were they even allowing more cars to get into the narrow road uphill to suffer the ordeal? This was not acceptable. In many hill stations I have seen these kind of situations managed much better. For example, even in Nandi Hill, this humble little small, you can't even call it a hill station. It's like 60 kilometers from Bangalore. I mean, they are managing this place much better than they are managing the Dodabetta. So whatever. So Dodabetta too lost its old charm. The aroma of the Nilgiris in the air was rudely suppressed by the smell of the diesel and the burning clutch from cars. The crowd was such that there was no place to step in. We are not really against crowd, as we believe crowd is nothing but bunch of people like you and me trying to have a good time. But unregulated crowd, really unregulated crowd, totally unregulated and unchecked. This obviously brings with it, in true sense, chaos, nothing else and nothing less. As tourists, we wouldn't mind if only certain number of vehicles were allowed on an hourly basis on some slots. It's first come first serve basis, and so it's just fair. This kind of system is better for people, better for the nature, and better for the cars suffering from burning clutch plates. When I last visited Dodabetta in 2013, it used to be a very serene place. Between 2013 and until now, I visited Ooty twice, but I had skipped Dodabetta, so I am not totally aware at what rate over-tourism has spoiled this place. While returning from Dodabetta, we had lunch at a restaurant near Lovedale. The lunch was lovely vegetarian thali. We drove through narrow but serene and densely forested landscapes of Lovedale and briefly stopped at the Nilgiri Mountain railway station of Lovedale. This place had a charm attached to it, which I could not simply describe with mere words. Tall trees and a very elegantly built rustic and small railway station and some old world charm, that certainly can lure people to it to admire and take some cool pictures. We returned to the hotel, spent some quality family time while admiring the views. Night set in and brought with it the quiet, except for some infrequent grunt of wild boars. Morning we checked out of our hotel and set towards our next destination. You already know, I think, which one is our next destination. Yes, just at the foothills of the Nilgiris we had planned a visit and one night stay at Bandipur Safari Lodge on the fringes of the premier tiger reserve. While going downhill from the Queen of Nilgiris, we decided to go via the longer route through deeper stretches of forests that were part of the Mukurti National Park and Madhuvanai National Park. This was thus offering us chances to spot some more wildlife on the way. Unlike the 36 hairpin route, this route passes through dense forest for a longer duration. After bypassing the Paikara, somewhere before the needle point, the most significant sighting we had was that of the enigmatic Nilgiri Langur. Please stay tuned for our upcoming video wherein we will showcase the key sightings and very exciting sightings actually we had when we took safaris in the Bandipur National Park and the Nagarhole National Park. Please बने रहिए और आने वाले वीडियोस ज़रूर देखें.